reject the gender binary. Thank you so much to Sharon Kleinbaum for that beautiful introduction. She is one of the strongest, surest moral voices our community has, and I am so proud to call her my ally, my friend, and my rabbi. Thanks so much to HRC for inviting me here tonight and honoring me with this Visibility Award. Being visible and queer has been one of the great unexpected pleasures of my life. When I fell in love with my wife, Christine, back in 2004, I started getting questions from the press about who was this butch woman that people had been seeing me around town with. And it was a quandary that I had never had to face before as an up to that point straight girl. And I thought, correctly, that this was going to turn out to be a big deal, and Christine and I were going to need some help navigating these uncharted waters, so I found a publicist who represented, among others, Ellen DeGeneres, and who was herself a lesbian. Her name is Kelly Bush. It's a good name for a lesbian, don't you think? And Christine and I went in and we told her we'd been dating for a number of months and we were very much in love and that the press was asking about it, so what should we do? And Kelly was quiet for a few seconds, and then she looked me dead in the eye and she said, well, why don't we call them and confirm? I was stunned. It was as if someone told me that I could fly, or that there really was a Santa Claus, or that the complicated equation I had been puzzling over in my mind was really just, if you add 2 plus 2, you get 4. Very few publicists at that time would have offered me that advice, but she did. And I will always be eternally grateful. So we confirmed, and I was out. And there was a lot of brouhaha. But in the end, that's all it was, brouhaha. And since then, for Christine and I, and not incidentally for the LGBT movement, things have just been getting better and better. Some things in life, sometimes in life, things are simpler than they first appear. But sometimes they are more complicated, like right now. We are right now at a thorny, complicated moment in our journey as LGBT people. If the gays and lesbians in this room look at their lives, I would imagine that despite the orange man in the White House, for many of us, things seem better than they have ever been. Don't ask, don't tell is a distant memory. We have same-sex marriage in every state. And the pièce de résistance was the repeal of DOMA. What a sweet victory that was. Many of us who never imagined we'd be married are. Many of us who never imagined we could be parents have brought children into our lives in a myriad of ways. LGBT people have greater visibility and acceptance than ever before, and not just on the coasts, but all across the country. And if we don't look too closely, it seems like, compared to many other groups that I could name, we are largely being left alone in this new discrimination administration. Or to put it another way, some gay and lesbian people of a certain class and skin color have climbed to a plateau of civil rights where we are almost not seen as other. If we choose to, we can pass. We can acknowledge the small matter of our homosexuality and still pass if we look a certain way and act a certain way and make enough money. But if we turn back and look to see who has been left out, it turns out to be a lot of us. Actually, most of us. African American, or West Indian, or Latino, or Muslim, or undocumented, or trans. Because while some part of our community is enjoying our newfound and hard-won position of relative privilege, the other parts of our community are being targeted with a venom that takes my breath away. Trump has only been in office for a year, but the list of judicial and executive attacks on LGBT people with the focus heavily on T is as long as my arm. We are witnessing a full frontal attack on the trans members of our community. The White House has gone after them deliberately because they are the most vulnerable of us. Donald Trump is trying to divide our community the way he divided and conquered our country, by slicing it up and setting it against itself. White against black, Christian against Muslim, native-born against immigrant.
Yes.
But if we are going to stop him in 2018 by taking back the House, and not incidentally some state houses, we have to be more than the anti-Trump party. We have to actually offer a different vision of how things could be. Our leaders can't just say, vote for me because I'm not Donald Trump. We need to give voters something to vote for. Because the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yes.
He isn't the totality of the problem, he is just the capstone. He was able to expose and then exploit in a sickening way how desperate working people are and how little the Democratic Party is paying attention to them, because no different than the Republican Party, it has been focused for too long and too intently on the big money interests that fund its campaigns. Is greater than at any time since the 1920s. Today, the top 1% of households own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. And as scary as that figure is, the scariest part is the speed with which it continues to widen. Ignoring this economic crisis is what got us Donald Trump in the first place.
Yes.
It can't just be business as usual anymore. So in 2018, we don't just need to elect more Democrats. We also need better Democrats.
Yes.
We need bluer Democrats. Small donor Democrats. If we had bluer Democrats, there wouldn't be 75,000 trans dreamers whose lives will be in real danger if they get sent back to the birth countries they no longer even remember. If we had bluer Democrats, we would have passed gender here in New York State a long time ago. If we had bluer Democrats, New York wouldn't have the worst inequality in the country. For all the pride that we take here in being such a blue state, New York has the single worst income inequality of any state in the country. How can we know this fact and let it stand without actively working to change it? If we had bluer Democrats, we could take the windfall that Trump is giving to the richest New Yorkers and use it to correct the disparities in housing, healthcare, and education. We could invest in renewable energy. We could transform our criminal justice system.
Woo!
We could fix our broken subways. until we wrest our political system back from the gigantic corporate interests and billionaire donors who are holding it hostage. Sometimes in life, things are simpler than they first appear, and the equation here is actually quite simple. Wealthy donors get what they pay for, a government that looks after their interests instead of ours.
Yes.
We need to change that equation. If we're going to get at the root problem of inequity, we have to turn the system upside down. We have to uproot the broken establishment, the corporate Democrats, the corrupt, and the beholden. And that is why this is not a time to pass, to keep our heads down and blend in with the perpetrators. This is a time to stick our necks out, to remember where we came from.
Yes. This
is a time to be visible. This is a time to fight. This is a time to fight. The relative safety and comfort that some of us enjoy is a mirage that will evaporate if we don't take action. In 2018, each of us has to do whatever we can to take our government back. If we want change, we have to do what we have always done. We have to go out ourselves and seize it. Thank you.